Hello, I'm John McNamara and I'm here with Mike Johnson, a developer for ODM. Mike, do you want to say who you are and what you do?
Okay, so yes, my name's Mike Johnson. I work in the IBM Hersey lab here in England, and I work on the Operational Decision Manager product, and specifically on the Z system.
Awesome, so that is a really fast moving area. So can you give us an update on the most recent developments?
We've got some new functionality or capability in ODM 8.7, and that is of collecting execution data, runtime execution data.
Okay, so how will you get that information?
On the Z system, we have something called the System Management Facilities capability, or SMF for short. And SMF gives you the ability to record activity information of your applications on your system.
Cool. So for us non-Z people, what is an SMF record?
I'll go into a little bit more detail, but it's basically a record, and there are a number of record types, and you have a record type allocated to your application, your component, and then we can, or the system records activity information into that record, which can be later used in reports.
Well, fair enough. All right, so using SMF, what type of information do you collect?
Okay, so this information can be used to call the system activity. So that can be used for accounting and billing type of information. It might be used for performance monitoring of your system, and also capacity planning.
So how does ODM use this information?
For ODM, which is all about firing rules within your rule engine, we'd like to be able to use this information to record information, statistics if you like, about the rule sets. Which rule sets are being called most of the time, and which consume the most CPU time, for example. So such things as the execution count, the number of rules that may have failed, summation of the rules fired, the CPU Java time that has taken for this particular rule set, the elapsed time, and which rule sets have actually been executed.
We've talked about the type of information that we're collecting and how we're collecting it, but where could this type of information be used at the user end?
Let's explain a little bit about the record types holding this information for users to then use. SMF provides a standard mechanism for writing activity records, and so there are various record types. In particular, these are ones that are used by ODM 8.7. There's a type, slightly techie bit now, I should say. We have a type 89 record, which is there to collect CPU usage. So that tells you how much time a particular product, such as ODM, has used on your system. But as of 8.7 of ODM, we have a type 120 record, and ODM uses a subtype 100. And in that subtype 100 record, we can now hold this information that we discussed, such as the execution count and which rule sets have been fired. So getting even more technical, what happens when a rule request comes into the server is that we take a note of the current rule clock time and the thread CPU time, and we use a time used macro to get this information. The rule parameters are then unmarshalled from the request, and a call is made to the rule set in question. And then after the rule is fired, all the rules within the rule set have fired, when we return, we look at the amount of CPU time that's been taken, and we look at the wall clock and the time that's been taken, and store that away.
Fantastic. So after you've collected that information, what happens then?
Okay, so this information from SMF can be written to a number of places. They can be written to SMF datasets or to the SMF log stream. And then at a later point in time, reports can then be generated from that collated and collected activity data. This activity data can then, in summary, be used for your accounting of what's been going on in your system, for potentially billing certain departments, for example, or for performance monitoring of your system, because you now know how much CPU usage is being used. And finally, for capacity planning, so you can determine which are your most active rule sets and how they're used.
That's fantastic. So if anyone wants to have a crack at it and to use this awesome piece of functionality, I'm guessing they go to the Knowledge Centre and take it from there.
Exactly. And this particular functionality is available in 8.7 of Operational Decision Manager on System Z.
Wonderful. I'll put that in the notes for the video. Mike, thank you very much, everybody. It's a pleasure as always to chat to you.
Thanks very much, John.